Hey guys, it's Alyssa. So today I'm going to be showing y'all my, I guess not really portfolio, but just all the work that I've done at school my sophomore year, because I'm in the summer between sophomore and junior year. So this is not everything. I'm not showing anything from one of my graphic design classes because I don't really like anything I came out with. And then my fabric surface design class because I don't really have any good digital versions, I guess, of it, and I turned everything in right before I left for break, so I don't actually have it on me. But everything else is, it's all graphic design and photography. I'm a studio art major because you pick like a concentration. So my concentration is photography now. It was graphic design, which is why I have so much of both. So like going to the next semester, I don't have any graphic design classes, but I do intend to have some more before I graduate. But yeah, so this is all going to be photography and graphic design. I'm going to start with graphic design work. So this is, starting off, my first graphic design project, aside from I had one graphic design class in high school, and then I was taking another class at the same time as this one. But yeah, so this is, we had to do I guess it was like an ad. I honestly don't remember what the project was because this was one of the first ones, but I think we had to do, it was like you had to do an anatomy sort of an item or something, and I feel like people had different things they had to do, but mine was anatomy, I don't know, but anyway, I had to pick an item and somehow do some kind of anatomy project with it. So I did the anatomy of the Balenciaga platform croc. So this was my project. I did all this in Illustrator. Again, it was my first project, so I'm not that proud of it, but yeah, I don't know, it's kind of fun. So there's that. And then next, this was the first, because I'll have the class that I took after this in the spring is type and image, so that's all more like this kind of stuff. So this was the very first publication type project I did, and I did mine on Depop, and so I think I played off of the font that Depop uses, which is Arial Black. At least that's what I used. I can't remember if that was actually what Depop uses. I feel like they have their own, but anyway, it's not really important. I took some of or I guess just one of the images on the second spread, the one of my friend Morgan. So basically I was able to use, and then there's a screenshot of my phone on the first spread. But yeah, so I was able to bring in outside images. I didn't have to shoot for this, which is good. It would have been really hard for me to shoot it myself. And then the body copy was not mine. I didn't have to do that, but I had to figure out the layout and sort of think about what the brand stands for. And so I was sort of going for, I guess, I hate saying just a fun vibe. That sounds so stupid, but it is more fun and I guess makeshift sort of. So it's not super constructive. I feel like it's just got a lot going on. It's kind of busy. I don't know. I'm not very good at describing this stuff, but yeah, that was my first publication type project. And then the last one I did, and this one I feel like I did the best, or was probably the best thing I came out with. We had to, we were given a year for the MacArthur Fellows, and then we had to, I guess make a poster for them is what this is. But yeah, so we had to, big thing was manipulating type with this. So, I want to say that I did all this in Illustrator. Yeah, I don't think I used Photoshop for this. So Kyle Abram is, a dancer, a choreographer. So, and he sort of, I feel so bad, I don't totally remember what he did, but, I know he was a choreographer, and I feel like he, took, traditional dance and, he was trying to make something new about it, and a lot of it had to do with, his concepts, I guess, was, community and, coming together and stuff. So that was sort of what I kept in mind with the font, I guess, or when I made the typeface. yeah, this was probably my best project from that class. Now spring semester, this was type and image was the name of the class. The last one was like design methods or something, so it was like really just figuring out the basics. But yeah, this is a lot more publication type stuff. So first thing was just I think we really like had a lot of freedom with this project. So I did the new 90s. I didn't have to write the copy about it. It was just, I did shoot all the images, though I didn't have to, but I wanted to at this point. The handwriting font is all mine. At one point I had sort of mixed like my own handwriting plus like a typeface that looked like handwriting, but the end product was just all mine. And then of course there is, I think it's Futura is what I use. Is obviously a typeface, not my handwriting. But yeah, this is pretty straightforward, I feel like. Yeah, I had a lot of fun like shooting this and putting it together. This was one of my favorite projects that I did. Okay, next was a brochure, and I'm gonna show y'all the like paper copy because it makes more sense. So this is how it was turned in, like on this board, and then there's like a mylar sleeve, so you take it out, and part of the assignment was coming up with a fold. This was my lowest scoring project, not scoring, but I guess my grade was the lowest on this project out of the 3 from this class. But because you're supposed to come up with like a complicated, or not complicated, but a fold that goes with it, and I thought mine was pretty good because it's got like the puzzle piece thing, because my, I didn't get to pick my topic, it was autism awareness, and then you put like all this info on the inside, and that was the front, and then that's the back. But yeah, like, I feel like it's not honestly horrible, but I think my teacher caught on that I wasn't really into this one, and I didn't put as much effort, I guess, into it as I should have. And then the final project from that same class, I actually do like this one a lot. Okay, this one was designing a book cover, and we got to pick our books, which I was happy about because it's a lot easier when you know the book. But I did The Catcher in the Rye. I didn't shoot the images that are like the cityscape and then the field, but that is my brother playing Holden Caulfield. And then the typeface is not my handwriting. But I did like physically tear paper and then put it in Photoshop to get that tearing effect throughout. And I feel like this was successful in terms of like what the story is about, and that he's sort of like in denial of growing up, so it's sort of got like a, and he's like not mentally there exactly, like, so I feel like the tear is sort of like rough edges. I don't know, I feel like it goes pretty well. Yeah, and then the color palette I feel like works well, but this was done in Photoshop, and then I want to say I put it in Illustrator. That's all the graphic design stuff I did. Next is photography. I'll start with my darkroom class. That was fall semester, so the first photo class I had. Some of these I only have digital copies of the photos that stayed up through the whole crit, because basically when you put your stuff up in crit, certain things end up coming down because they have errors, if they don't like fit the set or they have technical issues. This is the first roll, so I have 4 photos. I think I originally had 8 put up. What we had to do, I think we may have literally just had to come up with like 8 successful prints, like out of your first roll or something. So I've got 2 photos of my friend Rachel. And I don't have a lot to say about these because it was literally just like learning how to do darkroom, I guess. So these were urban abstractions, so basically taking the urban landscape and making it look like something different, I guess, or I mean making an abstraction out of it, but that's kind of using the title and the definition, but yeah. So I do like how these turned out. Okay, I'll do my photograms real fast. So this is where you're putting stuff like on top of the emulsion, and then you expose it to light for however much time you want. And that's basically it. And then you do the whole developing process. But so this one, I know I used like some rubber bands and then like hair bobby pins, and then a glass. I don't actually remember what the outside things were. I mean, the point is not for you to know what I made it out of, but just letting you know. But yeah, I thought it was cool. It sort of looked like a sun, which is kind of cheesy, but at least it's not just like a standard landscape, which I guess that's why I was okay with it. And then the other one, this one I like a lot better. I used those lightbox letters to write no sleep, and then rubber bands and like little stars. I think I cut some paper, and then I used like a pencil box thing. But yeah, I actually really like how this one turned out. Next was portraits. Yeah, portraits were next, and two of these I wasn't able to scan in because they were like hanging at school, so yeah. But I did, so the point of this was to represent people like in the studio and then in an environment, and you could pick the environment and then how you wanted to depict them in the studio. So these started to get a lot more like where you had to think, I guess. Not that you didn't have to think on the others, but I guess it's more conceptual is what I'm trying to say. So I decided to do people in their bedrooms, and then in the studio I had them all wear the same shirt, so it was like putting them in their environment and then taking them totally out of their environment, and then just like their faces sort of expressing who they are, I guess. So first I have Rachel, and so I mean it's pretty self-explanatory, she's in her dorm, and then this is her portrait. Looking back, what I would change is the shadow that's behind her. When I shot it, I didn't like know enough about portraiture to know that I shouldn't have those shadows, so yeah, you'll kind of notice that in all these. So that's her in the studio. And then her in her bedroom, and I feel like this was one of my most successful prints from this semester, just like lighting wise and everything. And then I have one of my roommates, Allison. And also this one I feel like turned out like tonality wise, it's strong. And the last one was my friend Jasmine from dance, actually. But yeah, and I thought it was kind of cool here, like she has nothing in her room, which just like contrasts like the other people a lot. So I feel like that speaks to a personality. But yeah, so those are my portraits. And I feel like that was one of my stronger darkroom assignments. Finally was narratives. But the way we were doing narratives, it's sort of like you want to give enough information to where you know what's sort of happening, but you still have questions. So it's not just like you look at it and you automatically know what's happening and then you move on to the next one, you know? You want it to hold your attention. So that's kind of what we were keeping in mind as we shot this, because I have done narratives where we sort of approached it differently, but with these, that was sort of how we approached, especially the critique. But yeah, so that's all the darkroom stuff I did. In the spring, my digital class. So first was lighting as poetry, and we had different, like a list of different kinds of lighting, so like cloudy, sunny, tungsten, fluorescent, candlelight was one. I don't know, I can't remember what they all were, but that sort of idea. And I feel like this was one of my stronger critiques of the semester. Next was landscapes. And so this one, like a good portion of the assignment was coming up with your installation. So, I mean, there really weren't any restrictions except money because installations are expensive. as we learned. So I'll show you the installation view. Basically, I made light boxes. That in itself was rough, and I made them over spring break, so I spent a lot of spring break making light boxes. I did learn how to do something that I feel like I could use again for sure. So this is what all of them looked like lined up in the dark, and then I'll show you the actual images. So basically, it was redefining landscapes. It wasn't just flat out landscapes. And you could redefine it however you wanted. And basically how it started out for me was finding like a man-made object within like the natural landscape. But then I feel like over time it evolved as I was shooting, I guess, into sort of what's left behind after a certain period of life. Not necessarily like when we're dead, but like for instance, the first one is a playground, so it's like it feels like it's in a very dead and desolate form of nature, but it's like a lively thing when you're a kid. So same thing with the houses. It's the kind of thing that you grow out of and move on. But yeah, I guess narratives is next. So narratives. There was 3 categories within narratives, and they were like collaborative narratives. So the first one was telling a story from a period of time in history. So my group, we decided to do the Tanya Harding story. Unfortunately, I only have my 2 images, so I can't show you what they did to depict the story. But these images, I feel like here they look fine. When they printed, they came out yellow, and I think it was a printing error, because one of like literally the most frustrating thing about photography is getting all the printing settings right, because there are so many, and there's like, if you miss one thing, you can totally mess it up, and I didn't catch it because I was in a rush. I mean, school's just like crazy, and it kind of hurt me. It didn't hurt my grade as far as I know, but in the crit, it didn't do me good, that's for sure. But yeah, so the next was bizarre narratives, and this one, we were working together, but we all had different narratives. It didn't have to go together. This was what I did. I used a piñata. Last was 2 narratives that were sort of recreating a piece of art. So first I did a Basquiat. It's an untitled piece, but it's like the skull. And I made this like, it had like multiple layers, and I painted like the layers of the piece, so that way I could put someone in between. This is my roommate Sarah, but somebody could stand in between, and so it was sort of mixing the painting with like an actual portrait, I guess. Lastly, this one it wasn't like a specific Keith Haring piece, but it was basically playing off love and like interconnection or whatever. So and then also doing like the uniform colors. I took inspiration in that way. Oh, I have one more project from that class, and this was, we had to do like this whole free writing thing, and it was kind of like your subconscious coming up stuff. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically we had like one core word, and then you had words coming off of it, and you had to like illustrate that word map. And the point of it was that it's really hard to describe words and like feelings, I guess, so that other people understand exactly what you're saying. So, see if I even remember. I know I started with like private, and then it went to I don't know. I just know I was reflecting on like going back home, because I was going back home for Easter break, I think. And like as we were writing, I was literally leaving in like 30 minutes. So I was thinking about that. And I know this one has to do with high school. And then this was something about like shared space. I can't remember. But you can see like my side's super cluttered, and then my roommate's is super clean. I do like the colors and the lighting in this one. This one was Compromise, which I didn't illustrate well enough. I should have just done what's on the table, but she's like obviously eating the fast food, and then I have Whole Foods stuff. And then the last one was, I think, it's not Fuel, but something like Fueled. I don't know. I don't really remember. But I do like this image. But yeah, people didn't totally pick up on it, but that was kind of the case for most people, that it was hard to illustrate, so it was sort of a learning process. It was our very last project, and it was done in a really short amount of time, so we didn't, because we had that break and then we had to get ready for finals. But yeah, so that is all the work that I did this year. Well, not all, because like I said, I omitted 2 classes, but the 2 photo classes and then 2 of my graphic design classes from sophomore year. So if you are interested in seeing more of my photography, I will have my Instagram linked down below. I've been pretty active on it because I do like shooting color film a lot. Obviously I'm not doing that at school, but on my own time I do that a lot. And I also am interested in selling prints, so if you saw anything here that you want me to print, let me know. But also I've got stuff up on my Instagram and things that are already like printed that I literally would just have to ship. So if that's something you're interested, definitely check out my Instagram and DM me or something. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more videos. Bye!